Hi, we're here to talk about Assassin's Creed 3, The Tyranny of King Washington, and you're watching Connected Digital World.
So, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yes, my name is Marc-Alexis Cote. I'm the creative director on The Tyranny of King Washington, the three-part DLC to Assassin's Creed 3.
So, let's start off. What exactly is your job?
Well, my job is to be the cheerleader of the project. It's to keep everybody on the vision and to establish the vision for the team along with the rest of the core team and make sure that we execute and follow that vision throughout the development cycle of the game.
So, let's talk a little bit about DLC. Obviously, this is the biggest thing Ubisoft has ever done for DLC. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about the sort of the backstory of this DLC first?
Yeah, well, the story is about how George Washington becomes the Mad King under the influence of the Apple of Eden after the American Revolution. So for us, it was really interesting to explore the what-if element of history. What if George Washington had succumbed to the temptations of power being represented in this case by the Apple of Eden, which we know in the franchise is a super powerful element. And really one of the key lines that we build the experience around is the following line from Lord Acton in the 19th century. Absolute power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So that was the theme we wanted to explore in the DLC, the corruption that is brought in by power.
So this is kind of different because obviously it's changing the timeline. It's not something we've ever seen before. Mm-hmm. What gave you this particular idea?
Well, there are two things that were really important for us. The first one is that we wanted to bring new gameplay to the license. We think that for DLC to be worthwhile for a player, it needs to bring something new to the experience. So we went back to analyze our game, and like the three pillars of Assassin's Creed have always been navigation, combat, and stealth. So we built three new powers that modulate and modify those pillars and kind of transform the experience that you get when playing an Assassin's Creed experience. And we really wanted to go all out, as you will see by playing the DLC. So the only way to bring that experience about was to have a strong alternative reality to the experience. The other reason that we wanted to build this experience for a player is that in Assassin's Creed 2, we showed to the player in one of the puzzles that George Washington had an Apple of Eden, and it's an answer that we wanted to provide to fans, and we felt it was not right for us to do a game about the American Revolution and not address this. And we really wanted to give a satisfying and fulfilling answer to that puzzle that's been in the mind of players for the last 5 years. So that's one of the reasons we built a 7.5-hour gameplay experience for it.
So obviously it's a new timeline, and the game starts off Connor's not Connor. Mm-hmm. So do you want to tell a little bit about that?
Well, I don't want to spoil the story for our fans, but it is related to Connor, but you will have to play it to see exactly how that is. And one of the things I think it's important for fans to know is that the story is canon. It is not just a side story. It is important in the history of the franchise, this moment, this experience that player will live. But they'll have to, because I don't want to spoil it for them, they'll have to play the entire thing to understand exactly how it relates to Connor.
Because obviously straight away he's aware that things aren't quite right.
Yeah.
So it's not just saying we've taken these characters, we've created an alternate timeline and just play the game and don't worry about it. I mean, certainly straight away he's like, why is my mother here?
Yeah, we respect players way too much to do something that's just like it was just a dream. Yeah. So no, it is really important. It is core to the franchise, and everybody's very, very comfortable with that.
Let's talk about the music. There's some really amazing atmospheric music in the game. So
I'm glad you liked it, and it's one of the when we started out. It's one of the things that people often ask me what changed the most during the development of the Tyranny of King Washington. So we started out, I mean, amazingly, the powers were there almost from the beginning. The idea of doing something about the Apple of Eden and George Washington, that's been with us for almost forever. But when we were progressing through building this game, we realized that there was one missing piece, is that the music did not support the gameplay we were building. So we called up Lauren Balfe in LA and we discussed the matter with him, and he said, like, I'm flying to Quebec, we'll see what you guys are doing and we'll write a new score for it. And for me, the music, we had a great chemistry working with Lauren, and I think it really, you can feel it in the game, how much the music supports the experience, and there are definitely some nice musical pieces in there, especially in the first half hour when you get to a point in the village. I don't want to spoil it for players, but that music is just amazing, and I realized how amazing it was when I started whistling it in the shower in the morning, and I was like, oh, that's what I'm whistling our game's music, so that's when I knew that we had something great.
Yeah, I certainly, the sequence you're talking about, and we won't spoil it for anyone watching this, but the hairs on the back of my neck stood up for a little bit there, so it was...
I've had many people saying that to me. It's like one of the team members, he came over, it's like, I've just played it, and he shook my hand, and he told me, it's like, I haven't had this kind of emotion in the last 2 years playing a game. It's like, he said, thank you. I was like, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope we get this reaction from our fans also.
I think you will, judging from the 2 hours I've played so far.
Cool.
So there are going to be new abilities for each of the 3 parts of the DLC that are coming out. Would you like to talk a little bit about those?
Yes, in the first part you get a power that's called the Wolf Cloak. So this is what I call stealth on demand, right? So you press the Y button or the triangle button, and you just vanish from the environment, and you can stalk around and just stalk your prey and kill them from behind. The counterweight to this mechanic is that you lose health. So you really need to be careful as you use it, because you may end up in combat with no health anymore. So you really need to plan your path around. In the second episode, the Betrayal, you get the power of the Eagle Flight. So you can just target elements in the environment and transform into an eagle and fly to them very, very fast. So it makes the navigation super dynamic, and you can chain those eagle flights around to just fly around the map. Again, the counterweight being your health. And in the last episode, the Redemption, you get the power of the Bear Might. So this allows you to incapacitate enemies with the Radonagedon smashing the ground and incapacitating enemies in a radius around you. So, and one of the important things about the power is because they play on the 3 pillars of Assassin's Creed, is that you can combine them. So for me, using the Eagle Flight to kill an enemy, and then using the Wolf Cloak to just vanish, and then having all the enemies gather around and using the Bear Might to kill everybody else, is just, it feels amazing when you succeed in chaining those different powers.
One thing I noticed actually playing this morning is it seems a lot darker. And a little bit edgier, a little bit grittier. Is that because it's a new timeline, things aren't good?
It's really there to support, everything needs to support this alternate reality, this fantasy that George Washington is a mad king. So the universe is much more grittier, it's darker. You see people being executed in the middle of the streets. You see, one of the interesting things is that we've replaced all the happy birds in the frontier with crows. So you can, it's subconscious. It's not something that many people will notice, but it's all part of all the small elements that we've worked on to really support this darker timeline.
So, as you said, there are 3 parts to this. There's the infamy, the betrayal, and the redemption. So what dates are they available?
We've announced dates for the first one. So the first one is coming out February 19th on Xbox, PS3, and PC, with the Wii U being released a little bit later and the date to be announced. And the second episode, the Betrayal, is coming out March 19th. On the same platforms.
Excellent, and obviously the final one
will come out a bit later.
To be announced. Great, thank you very much for your time today, and we look forward to playing more.
Thanks to you, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
What if the story of America was not the one you knew? Revealing a nation born not of courage and of brotherhood, but of greed and desire for absolute power. Commanded not by a leader of men, but by the hand of a possessed tyrant. A constitution built atop the blood and ashes of the innocent. An empire fed only by war and death. One crown. One ruler. And one man to stop King Washington.